You can have flaws everywhere. As long as you're not horrific on the offensive line and your quarterback's not under siege on most snaps. And so I do feel like the NFC is drawing closer to the AFC in the coaching quarterback combination. But it's still AFC over NFC. My top 10, if I gave you a top 10 AFC, NFC quarterback combination, the first one's an easy one. That's Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. Highest win percentage by any quarterback coach combo in the Super Bowl era. That's an easy one. He's the great play designer, a clever play caller, and Mahomes right now is the most gifted quarterback potentially ever, but certainly playing right now. Number 2, I'd go McVay and Matt Stafford. I think Matt Stafford, because of his years in Detroit, was overlooked. Next to Mahomes, maybe the best arm talent in the league. Sidearm, does everything but throw it left-handed. Big over-the-top arm. I think McVay may be the smartest coach, period, in the sport. I'd put him at 2. I'd go John Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson 3. Bottom line is they've won 10-plus games and reached the playoffs in 5 of 6 years. Listen, Lamar is different, and you're going to have a different offense with him. But if you can win 75% of your games, especially in the AFC North, to be that good perpetually, I'd put them 3rd. I'd put Jim Harbaugh and Justin Herbert 4th. Now, a little bit of that is a projection. I think Herbert's a remarkable talent, and there's an argument to be made. College and pro, Jim Harbaugh's the best coach on the planet. So I would put them 4th in the coach-quarterback combo. I would put Sean McDermott, Josh Allen 5th. And I think we all know Josh is probably, even more so than Mahomes, just physically on a different planet. Size, speed, arm strength. There's just nothing like Josh Allen in the world, including Mahomes. I think the misgivings we have sometimes, defensive coaches in big playoff games against offensive coaches we worry about, but they've got 4 straight division titles. They're obviously a very good football organization. So I would say 4 of the top 5 are AFC. Okay, so that right off the top, once again, it's the AFC. You can argue about the order after Reid and Mahomes, certainly. I would go to the next 5, and I start with another AFC team, Zach Taylor and Joe Burrow. Now, listen, Bengals have reached at least the AFC Championship in any year Joe Burrow's been healthy. Now, I do believe he is 1 injury away from real adult conversations on looking to draft another quarterback at some point, maybe not a first-round pick. But now this is his first year without offensive coordinator Brian Callahan, who's the Titans head coach, so that'll be a little interesting. Then, starting at number 7, I feel like the NFC teams are on the come. Matt LaFleur, Jordan Love would be number 7. I'd like to see a little bit more of Jordan Love, but the last 10 games of the year, the kid was on fire. And I'll give Matt LaFleur a lot of credit. When Aaron Rodgers was there, I felt like it was Aaron's offense and Aaron's team. I thought last year Matt LaFleur could really flex. I thought he was really clever. I loved his game plans. I loved his alterations at half. I thought Matt LaFleur really established himself as a top 5, 6 coach in the league. Number 8, Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott. Listen, they've won 12 games each of the last 3 seasons. Nobody else in the league has done that. McCarthy's a good, solid coach. Dak's a solid. You can argue they're both B+. But that gives you number 8 in the NFL. We want more in January. Number 9, I'd probably go Tua and Mike McDaniel. Mike McDaniel's sort of Kyle Shanahan West. Very clever. When Tua's healthy, there's an argument this is the Breeze-Sean Payton relationship. Tua's accurate. Do I think he can go up in cold weather to Buffalo, Baltimore, Kansas City, Cincinnati if it's 13 degrees and windy? Do I think he can go toe-to-toe with a Mahomes or a Josh Allen? No, I do not. But you don't have to play those guys much. Cross your fingers, the weather goes your way. Number 10, I'd do Jared Goff and Dan Campbell. I think Dan Campbell, in my opinion, can be a little bit too much led by emotion sometimes. I don't love all of Dan Campbell's situational coaching. Highly emotional guy. I wish he was a bit more restrained. But I've been saying this about Jared Goff for years. Throws one of the prettiest balls in the league. The Lions have winning records in back-to-back years. If I had to go 11, I'd go Shanahan and Brock Purdy. So I could say the bottom 6 through 11, there's a lot more NFC representation. But I still think, by and large, the AFC at the top, 6 of the top 10 quarterback coaching combinations. we're not going to argue with Reed and Mahomes. Everything after that you can argue about. And with that, Dion Dawkins, 3 Pro Bowls, highest graded Buffalo.
This is the Herd Line News.
All right, Colin. Tua Tagovailoa and the Dolphins have yet to reach a long-term extension, but reports indicate the two sides have remained in consistent contract talks since last month. The report also adds that both Tua and Miami are taking a very amicable approach, and things don't look like they'll go south. Colin, I don't understand it, because if you're really considering who the Dolphins are, what the reality is, they have been searching for a franchise quarterback since Dan Marino. The guy retired 25 years ago. The Dolphins have not won a playoff game since 2000. You're staring at your franchise cornerstone, who's 26 years old, right in front of you. What is the holdup? He's a model citizen. He led the NFL in passing yards last year. He's a Pro Bowler. What are they waiting for?
Well, I think a lot of it is he feels very weather vulnerable. You're not going to get him cold when if you look at the best teams in the AFC, Kansas City outside, Baltimore outside, Cincinnati outside, Buffalo outside. You're going to be playing in late January up north, potentially.
True.
And he is a weather-restricted quarterback. I think they want to keep him. And I think it's the same thing with Dallas and Kirk Cousins in Minnesota for years. They want to keep him. It's a numbers game. With Mahomes, with Josh Allen, you're going to lose. They're going to get what they want to get. LeBron in his prime. You're going to get what you want to get. But in the NFL, there's a big difference between 48 and 59. And so I think they want him. But there are realities with his game. If you are looking around corners, Josh Allen's in his prime, Mahomes in his prime, Burrow if healthy in his prime, Lamar in his prime. That's a lot of cold weather teams in January. And this is a guy that doesn't throw the ball in windy weather especially well.
I'm not saying that he's Dan Marino.
No.
But he is, to me, the perfect instrument for Mike McDaniel. And I think he's still getting better. He's an ascending player.
Yeah, he is. That's what he is. He's a perfect. Well, I mean, he's very much Drew Brees, who was his comp coming out of college.
Perfect.
Drew was perfect for Sean Payton's mind. And I think the difference is Brees had one major injury early, but I don't feel like he had a history of injuries. And I think that's the concern with Tua. I think the Dolphins want to sign him, but they want to be protected if he goes south physically.
Fair enough. Speaking of quarterbacks, looking for a new deal. You just mentioned Dallas. Dak Prescott is still waiting on a long-term extension, Colin, from the Cowboys. We most recently saw him in a walking boot around the 4th of July, which caused a lot of concern amongst the media. Here's what Dak had to say about it.
Honestly, I'm getting older. It's the same ankle, right, that I snapped and had a nasty surgery on 4 years ago. So, a couple of hard days of training, and you get a little sore, and then you're going on a fishing trip, and you want to protect it and make sure that things don't get worse. So, literally, it's absolutely nothing. That's why I said people are reaching, trying to make things that they aren't. I'm getting older, have to take care of my body, have to be smart, and if I can take precautions and lessening something by putting on a boot, I'm gonna do it. And so, sorry that it caused such a whirlwind.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, you're the coach of the Dallas Cowboys. If a picture like that we're showing our TV audience comes out, people are going to react to it. If you're a Yankee shortstop or a Laker guard or a, Notre Dame quarterback or you're Dak Prescott and you're in a walking boot before camp, shocker, it's going to be a story.
He also does have the leverage. There's a no-trade clause.
Yeah.
He just saw that, and also a no-tag clause, and he just saw that Kirk Cousins at 35, coming off a torn Achilles, got $185 million. So he knows the worst-case scenario for him really is to play it out and get paid next year as a 31-year-old quarterback.
I've said this. I'm not hypercritical of Dak. I would pay him. I'm just not going to pay him 58. I'm not.
So what's a fair number for Dak?
And he's going to get more than this. But I think when you look at Dak and Tua, you've had some injuries that have mounted. I think the number's in the 40s. Jared Goff never gets injured.
He got 212 over 4.
Yeah, and Jared throws a better ball than Dak, is healthier than both, doesn't move as well as Dak, but moves about like Tua. And everybody pushed back on Goff, and I think Goff is a better thrower of the football, bigger, healthier than Dak and Tua. So Goff is somebody that if you have to pay in the 5s, that's the first number. I'm more comfortable with that. I get so much pushback on him, but Dak's had some injuries now.
100%.
And he has struggled in January. Tua has a history of injuries, albeit healthy last year, and we see he's weather restricted. So it's to me, the new reality is you're paying closer to 60 with the great quarterbacks, but it's not that these teams don't like their player. It's like it's a numbers game. It's a math equation at this point.
Well, they also have Micah. They also have CeeDee Lamb. And if you're thinking about Detroit, they have set up Goff much better in terms of the offensive line, the running game, than what Dallas has. You know about Sewell, Gibbs, Amon-Ra.
By the way, the Dolphins and the Cowboys are both finger crossers on the O-line. Detroit's got easily the best O-line in the sport.
Dallas